Hello. Should I be saying good morning or good afternoon? Let's have a look at my telephone to see the time. It is 11:47, so good morning. Today I want to talk about the easiest and best method to practice speaking by yourself. Speaking English, of course, as this is the language you are learning. The method I am going to suggest is exactly the same method I use for practicing Thai by myself. Basically, this is storytelling, creating stories in my own mind and either speaking to myself quietly or speaking out aloud. If you have the opportunity and the situation is appropriate, I would recommend speaking out aloud, because speaking is a physical exercise, and the more you practice, the easier it will become for your vocal cords to make the right sounds. Let me first of all make one very important point. There are only two skills you need to learn in English: speaking and listening. Forget about reading and writing. They are just another way of speaking and listening using materials like a pen or a computer. Why should you practice speaking by yourself? Because it is extremely important to help you to remember vocabulary, expressions, sentence construction. If you only speak whenever you happen to meet an English-speaking person and you have to speak English, you're going to get much too little practice. If you observe yourself, you will realize that you are speaking to yourself all the time. As you walk around, as you do things, your mind never stops chattering. But instead of using your own language, you should try to use English. This is going to be the best way for you to get an endless amount of practice. So let me give you an example. Around an hour ago, I was walking through the park when I saw 3 Falang girls lying on the grass sunbathing. So I'm going to use this as the beginning of my story, and I can create any story I want to. The objective is to practice different kinds of vocabulary and expression. Students tend to use the simplest expression, so we might begin. I saw 3 Falang girls lying on the grass sunbathing. This might be the simplest way you can describe what you are seeing or have seen, but then try to add more complicated vocabulary into the situation. This will help you to remember vocabulary. So we could say 3 foreign girls instead of Falang, or we could say 3 fat foreign girls, or 3 beautiful foreign girls. Try to think of different ways in which you can use vocabulary in this description. Now, in actual fact, these girls were all a little fat, so I'm going to talk about that. When we describe someone as fat, we could also use the word plump, P-L-U-M-P. We can use polite words or impolite words. I'm going to guess that these girls are from America. Why do I say that? Because I know from personal experience that America has some of the most obese people in the world. So now I have used the word obese. The main reason for American people being fat is the fast food culture which exists in America. We could say the main reason is because American people like to eat fast food, or we could say there is an epidemic of fast food eating in America. So I have introduced the word epidemic. I know a bit about America because I lived there for around 3 years, about 20 years ago, and remember very well the type of food people ate in restaurants and what you could buy in a supermarket. I imagine that people who have been born in America are not really aware of their limited choices when they go shopping or eating out. For them, it may seem very natural to order French fries or hamburgers or pizza or some other very fattening food. So you can see what I am doing. I am just talking, but trying to think of different ways to talk about this story, introducing different vocabulary, and being careful to use the correct grammar all the time. Of course, speaking by yourself does have the disadvantage that you don't have someone to correct you. If you're lucky enough to be able to spend time with me, then of course I will correct you and show you better ways of expressing your ideas. But nevertheless, practice by yourself is extremely useful and important. I find that if I don't speak Thai with myself, I find it very difficult to remember vocabulary when I do have to meet a real Thai person and speak. This method may seem difficult at first because you have to constantly change your Thai thinking into English thinking, but if you develop the habit, you will find it gets easier and easier. Let's continue the story about the fat American girls. I suppose they have come here for a short holiday, like many people from the West. They like to come to Thailand for the hot weather, the delicious food, and to observe and learn about Thai culture. What do you think is the main reason tourists come to Thailand? Here I am going to speculate. Speculate is another word for guess. So try to think of new words you can use to expand your vocabulary. When you can't think of different ways of talking about the same, go to Google or your dictionary and look for synonyms. A synonym is a word having the same meaning as the word you are talking about. So words for speculate, we can use guess or hypothesize. We can use expressions like hazard a guess, or make a guess. Try to think of different ways you can express the same idea. Personally, I think the main reason people come to Thailand at this time of the year, in February, is for the hot weather. Most of the Western world is cold at this time, so people want to escape this harsh environment and come to a much pleasant climate. It really feels great when you leave a country in the middle of winter, spend a few hours on an airplane and land in a hot country where the sun is shining all day. This is difficult for Thai people to understand because they and me, because I have lived here a long time, take the sun for granted and often see it as a source of pain rather than pleasure. But I can assure you, if you spent one winter in North America or in my country, England, you would begin to really appreciate having the sun all day. Well, that's the end of my story for today. I hope you have understood my method for practicing speaking by yourself. Please don't waste your time following most of the study techniques which are taught in schools and universities. Don't watch videos. You're not learning about pictures, you're learning about sounds when you're listening. If you want to listen to English, listen to the radio or programs from the BBC or my YouTube audios, and be sure to avoid any learning material where they are talking Thai most of the time. I continue to see this terrible method in Thailand where people spend 90% of their time speaking Thai. When I first saw this method, I thought they must be teaching Thai, not English. Then realized that they were actually trying to teach English by talking Thai. How crazy. So good luck with your storytelling. Bye for now.